Hello and welcome to this Revit tutorial. I've been asked to create this type of ceiling, outdoor ceiling. So I'll explain it in a 3-part video series. So in this first part, I'm going to explain how to create just the structure of it. So let's get into it. So the question that you asked for that type of fabric thing, you can pretty much create it within the Revit environment itself. So what I'm going to do is I'll first create some columns, just improvise with the default rectangular columns. I'll make them much narrower, maybe like 200 by 200 millimeters. I'll just change those dimensions like that. So I'll do 4 of them. No, 4. So those are 4 columns, and then 4 beams going around, and then 2 secondary beams in the middle. So to create beams, I will go to level 1. You can see my underlay of level 0 there. Structure, beam. So the default beams that come with Revit are these steel I-beams, which is not what we want to use. We just want to use regular rectangular beams. So beams in Revit, for some reason, are found in structural framing folder. So then wood dimension lumber. So that's, yeah, so from there you can change the thickness and the depth of that thing, that wooden beam. So I'm gonna do that. Just create 4 lines like that. So by default in Revit, just press escape to get out of that. If for some reason when you're creating beams you see them as just, you either don't see them at all or you see them as lines, that's because if you put detail level as coarse, then it won't show the beams exactly. So just change it to medium or fine and you'll see your beams. Now our beams, we can't see them, like they are shown as gray and not dark lines. That's because, let me just undo and show you what has happened. So when I create a beam, here it's saying the placement plane is level 1. So what that means is, and we're on level 1, so what that means is if this is level 1, I'm just explaining the line. If this is level 1 and we are like standing over here in level 1, the beam is going to be drawn below level 1 like that. So if this is the plane of level 1 and we are looking downwards this way, we won't be able to see the beam by default on level 1. It will actually appear within the range of level 0, which is over there. So this is like level 0. So this text is big. Just change the scale. Yeah, so it will appear in the region of level 0 and we are here in level 1. So that's why the beam won't be displayed by default. So if I go to 3D view, these are our beams which are visible there. Okay, so if you want to be able to see your beams, then you use a type of floor plan called structural floor plan. So yeah, for some reason, okay, so that's because Revit by default, or the architectural template of Revit, is just specialized for viewing architectural elements. So if the structural elements like beams and columns are they are placed in different planes. Like say, you see here, a beam is much higher than where the cut plane would be for level 0. So for that reason, there are specialized floor plans called structural plans. So I'll create a structural plan for both level 1 and level 0. Okay. So those within these structural floor plans of level 1, so notice when the icon is different. This is structural plan, this is floor plan. So in structural plan is where we can see our beams, and the beams are represented as lines instead of beams because the detail level is coarse. So if I just make it fine, that's where we can see our beams. So I'm going to copy these just like that, so that now we are able to get this thing that we are desiring. Just change this floor height to 3 meters. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is draw a section, because now we want to make this we want to make these weaving things. So if I go back to level 1, I think we might want to space these things out equally. So just do dimension lines there and make them equal. Then even these, just for the sake of aligning them properly, just make them right in the center of all those columns. Center, 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 everything. Okay. We're going to divide this into 3 segments, because you can see here there are 3 pieces of cloth. We're going to use reference planes to do that. So reference plane is right there, reference plane. Keyboard shortcut is RP. The reason we're using reference planes is because as much as they're just lines, we're able to see them in a number of different views. And so they'll guide us in aligning these things. So reference planes, you can also equally space them within this system of things. So they won't be seen in 3D, the reference planes, but they will help us a lot in drawing our things. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. Before you go to the next part, please like and subscribe. Thank you.